Pause YouTube, how's it going everybody? Finally, after like a lot of weeks, I got around to making a serious team, and I know I said I would be trying to upload a team building video every week. Obviously that's not going to be the case from now on, but something that you guys actually wanted me to do that I didn't do in my very first team building video was show a replay at the end of the team building session with the team, and I did get a pretty good replay with this team, so I'll make sure to play that near the end, and I will commentate it as I go along because it's really going to show off why certain Pokemon on this team are very important to the team. So first off, yes, I know this is another NU team, but honestly NU has been the only tier recently that I've actually kind of made any serious teams in, and I will try to get around to making a serious UU and a serious RU team so I can make team building videos on those. But yeah, for right now, we're going to be doing NU full stall. Now, for those of you who are very frequent in the NU meta game, you will know that the current NU meta is very offensively based. Well, not very, but it's more offensive than it used to be. Yeah, that's basically it. It's just more offensive than it used to be. You don't really see Audino, Lickilicky, Musharna, defensive Tangela, Alomomola. You don't really see those as much anymore. It's normally like Sock, Skuntank, Scolipede, Zangoose, Ludicolo, just offensive threats, and I wanted to use Stall. Stall used to be my favorite playstyle. For those of you who have been with me since the beginning, you will know that I used to love Stall. I would make a lot of Stall teams and I would just have a lot of fun with them, and eventually I stopped using Stall because it kind of became boring. It kind of became boring to me, and I moved on to more balanced offensive playstyle. But you know what? I said for the next team building video, I'm gonna do something that has never really been done in NU much. I believe the last RMT I ever saw of Stall was Case Victory's Rigor Mortis team, which that's a couple months old. I think there's some new Stall teams on the NU RMT section of Smogon, but I haven't tried them out, so I don't know if they're effective or not. But Rigor Mortis was the very last NU Stall team I tried out, and I decided to make my own Stall team. And first off, I'm going to give you guys a look at the team, how it is right now. This is the final version. If you guys want to leave suggestions, then by all means feel free to leave a comment down below. I will leave an export of the team in the description as well, so you guys can try out the team and tell me how it does. But the basic idea behind the team was that I wanted a team that obviously had many walls, basically all the Pokemon on walls, but I wanted a team that could switch in and deal with just about everything in the NU meta, because in 5th gen you can't make a perfect team. One team will get destroyed by something, others will get destroyed by something. You cannot make a team to counter everything in the tier you are playing in. Now I know I've talked and yelled however loud this is going to be for 3 minutes, so quick overlook of the team. So first off, we have one of our special walls, which is Audino, and the main reason why I have Audino is because of Regenerator. And if you find it odd that I have Double Edge, it's suggested by Smogon. Although I haven't tried out Return yet, Double Edge has definitely been doing its part. I really do like it. Next off, I have physically defensive Musharna, because Musharna deals with Sock, one of the biggest threats in the NU meta game, and it actually is a Calm Mind Baton Pass variant. I will make sure to explain why when I do get into the process of the team. Next, we have special defensive Roselia with dual spikes. Again, I'll explain this. We have Bastiodon with Magic Coat. Now trust me, in the replay you're going to see why Magic Coat Bastiodon is actually really damn good. And then we have Mandibuzz, but a more speedy variant of Mandibuzz to be able to outspeed opposing Mandibuzzes, and faster variants of Braviary and Mischievous unless they are the offensive set. And then finally off, we have Alomomola with Rocky Helmet. Now Rocky Helmet is definitely an important item on this Alomomola. But yeah, that's the overlook of the team. So with that, we're going to move into the team building process, so I'll see you guys right now. Alright, so when I first thought about this team, one Pokemon came to mind right off the bat, then followed by the second Pokemon, which you'll see. So first off, I went with Musharna. Musharna is one of the bulkiest Pokemon in the NU tier, and for a good reason. Now, I used to be the guy who was like, oh, Musharna's bad, I don't like it, I'm never going to use it, it's just yada 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 yada. So I decided to go with the standard set that I like to run: Baton Pass, Moonlight, Psychic, and Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave is mainly for Skuntank, because normally when you see a Sock or a Primeape, they are paired up with Skuntank, which can come in, get off a huge amount of damage on Musharna, and then your check to Sock or Primeape is gone. But most of the time people switch in Skuntank on Musharna, so you can Thunder Wave them, then Baton Pass out freely without having to worry about a crunch or a pursuit. And the EV spread, don't use this spread. Showdown is dumb. But I went with the Smogon spread, 240 HP, because that gives you a leftovers number, max defense, and the last 16 into its special defense, just to be able to take hits a little bit better. Although you could put them in speed if you really wanted to, just to speed creep. I think it's just better to put them in special defense or special attack, and you can just really mess around with them as you want. So yeah, that was the very first Pokemon. Then the second Pokemon that came to mind was Lickilicky, because Lickilicky is literally the definition of Special Wall in the NU tier. This thing, along with Musharna, is bulky as all hell. Unfortunately, because of I don't want to have Oblivious on tempo. Unfortunately, you can't have Cloud9 with Wish and Heal Bell. I think that's what it is, or it's either one of those two, but you can't have it with Cloud9, so I'll have to go with own tempo. Plus, Lickilicky helps deal with the most annoying damn thing in the NU tier, which is Liepard. That's how you say it, because I had some people crying about how I pronounced it. But yeah, I went with hold on, Protect, Wish, Return, and Heal Bell, because I felt that I didn't really need to have Heal Bell on Musharna, just because Lickilicky more than filled the role, because I really wanted to have Thunder Wave for Skuntanks that were coming in, also being able to slow down faster threats like Ludicolo in the rain, Scarf Primeape, Rotom Fan, just basically any Scarfer or any Pokemon faster than my team, essentially. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And the reason why I have Return is because I knew that I was going to use Toxic Spikes along with this team, because in NU stall, Toxic Spikes are very, very handy to deal with certain threats like Calm Mind Superior, Sub Nasty Plot, Ice Beam Jinx, what else? Sub SD Sawsbuck, basically a lot of things. Sorry, just some things aren't coming to mind right now. Although I'll probably leave like a little list somewhere in the video, just so you guys can get a better understanding of why Toxic Spikes are so important in the tier. So with Return, I also get that added power. Now, yes, I could have added Dragon Tail, but honestly, I have tried Dragon Tail Lickilicky, and I really do like it, but sometimes it just fails to break substitutes, and it was just really not worth it, so I decided to put Return. And I just went with a basically standard spread with max special defense and actually 248 HP, just because I believe if you have an odd amount of HP, you actually lose one less HP than you would if you had an even amount. And the last bit, I don't really remember what I put in, because as you saw, the final version doesn't have Lickilicky, so I think it was either in speed or defense. Speed just to be able to speed creep, but I think it was just in my defense just to be able to take hits a little bit better. So yeah, right off the bat, I have a specially defensive wall and a physically defensive wall. Next off, I noticed that sub-disable Haunter was going to be such a giant pain in the ass to deal with. So I decided to go with another one of my favorite Pokemon, one Pokemon that is very, very underrated in the NU tier, and that is Probo Pass. Yes, you guys who know me, I love, love, love Probo Pass, and with me having Musharna, I don't have to worry about taking close combats. So it was basically standard, just Power Gem, Stealth Rocks, Toxic, and Volt Switch. That was basically it. Haunter subs up on your Power Gem, then you Volt Switch out into something else on your team. And the EV spread is a special one that I came up with. I believe it was up to 176 special defense, and then 88 special attack. Hold on, 40, and yeah, here we go. 84 special defense. No, oops, sorry. I kind of forgot the EV spread, but yeah, this was the EV spread. The special attack investment was to ensure a 2-hit KO on Torkoal and Scolipede, because those two are very annoying to stall teams, being able to get up hazards, and Torkoal being able to spin them away. Scolipede after 3 large spikes can just become a very dangerous thing to this team, especially if it is on an offensive team. But I'll make sure to I'll make sure to list some weaknesses this team does have and some things that it can't beat one-on-one after I build the team, because as I said, in 5th gen you cannot make a perfect team. And this was the spread I went with. Probo Pass is just such an underrated Pokemon. I really do like it. Definitely one of my favorite Pokemon to use. Power Gem for stab, Stealth Rocks obviously because hazards need to be on a stall team and basically any team. People, please, just put Stealth Rocks on your team. That's all I ask. and then I have Toxic to be able to break down things like Mandibuzz or Mischievous that think they can switch freely into Probopass without having any fear of it. And then if your opponent switches something else in, like, I don't know, Primate Predicting, Power Gem, you can then Toxic them as they come in. Although you could also use Thunder Wave, I just definitely like Toxic to be able to wear down things that aren't affected by Toxic Spikes. And then Volt Switch, with Probopass being so slow, you will just about always go second, which means once you take a hit, you can Volt Switch out into something else or your team to better deal with the Pokemon you just Volt Switched out of into. You get what I'm trying to say. Just Probopass is definitely an awesome Pokemon and a great special wall. This thing can eat up hits, and it was mainly here. And it was mainly here for Charizard, which Life Orb Charizard is definitely a big problem, but Probopass can easily live a Fire Blast and then knock it out with the Power Gem, or if you really want to for some reason, Toxic it, or if it's slow enough, then just go for the Volt Switch and just, yeah. Also, Probopass was here to deal with Jinx, one of the other big threats in the NU tier, because with Lovely Kiss, Nasty Plot, Side Shock, Ice Beam, whatever set that Jinx carries that is not carrying Focus Blast can become a major problem to stall teams, just because Jinx has such a diverse move pool. And I knew that as long as a Jinx didn't have Focus Blast, Probopass would definitely be able to beat it one-on-one, because the most common Jinx nowadays that I've seen anyways are either Scarfed or the Lovely Kiss Substitute Ice Beam set with Nasty Plot. Both which can get beat by Probopass. So if Jinx is their last Pokemon, Probopass will be able to beat it one-on-one, which is another reason why I really wanted Probopass. Next off, I realized, okay, I need Spikes, because without Spikes, stall teams would just not be very effective. Especially with the tier where there is no real good Rapid Spinner. Spikes are just so helpful, guys. Just trust me, it's a mandatory thing to have on a stall team, in my opinion. Alright, sorry about that. I had to get some water. Anyways, so, special wall. No. Alright, sorry about that. I had to get some water because my throat was drying up. Anyways, of course. Fuck. Okay, sorry. I had to get some water because my throat was drying up. Anyways, as I was saying, Spikes. I needed Spikes on this team, and the very first two Pokemon that came to mind were Scolipede and Roselia. Personally, I like defensive Scolipede, but I just feel that it wouldn't work on a stall team. Plus, from the looks of my team, I saw that Ludicolo and Superior just utterly destroyed after they set up. So I went with Roselia. Not both, but it can beat both Ludicolo and Superior just because of its typing. It resists their Grass Stab. Ice Beam only does about 40-something%. I'm not sure right off the bat, but I know it's not a 2-hit KO. Then in return, you can knock them out with the Sludge Bomb. Superior, even with Hidden Power Ice, will fall to Roselia. So I went with the standard special defensive set: Eviolite, Natural Cure, Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, Spikes, and Synthesis. I like Synthesis over Rest just because I don't like having to be forced to switch out once I do go for the Rest. And again, we're going to have an odd amount of HP just so we can take a bit less damage when we switch into hazards. So that's the spread right there. Very simple. Roselia was put on the team to get up Spikes and be able to deal with Ludicolo and deal with Superior. Also, I guess it can kind of deal with Salzbuck as long as they don't have a Swords Dance, because Roselia can easily live a non-boosted return and in return knock it out with the Sludge Bomb. So that was also kind of why I wanted Roselia. Plus, if you saw from the first 3 team members, they can't beat Tangela. So another reason why I wanted Roselia was to be able to beat Tangela one-on-one, especially if it was the offensive variant, which can't touch Roselia, because even max special attack, super effective Hidden Power Ice will not be doing anywhere near enough damage to Roselia to be able to scare it out. And then you can use Tangela to set up your Spikes, or you can just knock it out with Sludge Bomb, whichever you really want to do. So yeah, Roselia beats all those pesky grass types. Also, it beats bulky waters like Alomomola, which could have definitely been a problem to my first 3 team members, but I have Roselia now, don't have to worry about water types, and I don't have to worry about grass types either. So next off, I wanted a stall breaker on a stall team, because it's very nice to have a stall breaker on a stall team, and I wanted one that was bulky, that could take hits, not something like Liepard that could run a very effective stall breaker set, because I have seen one on the Smogon forums, but I didn't want to use that. I wanted to use Mandibuzz, yes, but not any normal Mandibuzz, not the standard Mandibuzz, because I do think the standard Mandibuzz set is good. I just don't think it needs that little bit of speed. So I went with Roost. I just went with the standard set, really. Roost, Taunt, Foul Play, and Toxic. Toxic to be able to beat opposing Mandibuzzes, which this team can't have a problem with. Obviously, you want to have 248 in HP, that way you won't take as much rocks damage switching. And then you want to have, I believe it was up to 226 speed, and this speed is very significant. It really helps Mandibuzz to deal with certain things. And then finally off, you can really go with a bold or a jolly nature, it doesn't really matter. I just go for a bold because I don't think either way it doesn't affect the power of Foul Play. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, this was a spread. I really like this spread. Mandibuzz can still take physical hits relatively well while still being able to shut down Braviary, Mandibuzz, and Mischievous, which all three can stop stall in its track, because Mischievous nowadays run Taunt, Mandibuzz always runs Taunt, and then Bulka Braviary is literally the bane of the existence of stall. I paused, I don't know why. But yeah, Mandibuzz was put on the team as a stall breaker for opposing stall teams, which are very rare in NU nowadays anyways, but still it helps me beat Braviary, Mandibuzz, and Mischievous, which again, big threats to stall, because with this speedier variant of Mandibuzz, I outspeed standard Mandibuzzes, I outspeed faster Bulka Braviary Mandibuzzes, and outspeed standard stall breaking Mischievous. Not to mention that with Taunt, you prevent them from being able to status you, and you prevent Braviary from being able to set up. So then, let's say Braviary comes in, it's behind a substitute, you go for the Taunt as it goes for Brave Bird, you can easily take one, then break the sub with Foul Play, then just start roosting up accordingly, and eventually you will be able to beat Braviary one-on-one, or if you really wanted to, you could switch into Probo Pass on the Braviary. Mischievous comes in, you taunt it, then you go for the Toxic, and you basically stall it out. Mandibuzz comes in, you taunt Mandibuzz because you should be faster than it, because most people just run the standard spread, which I believe only hits 224 speed, so that's why I have 2 extra to outspeed Mandibuzz, and then you can taunt it and Toxic it and stall it out. So yeah, Mandibuzz is definitely a key member of this battle, and you're going to see why Mandibuzz is so important once I show the replay at the end of the team building process. Alright, so because I'm clumsy, I accidentally knocked down my microphone when I was like halfway explaining why I have Garbodor on the team, and I paused it to check the audio, and the audio was horrible. Hopefully this little bit of last talking comes out fine, so I decided to just re-record the video from when I put in Garbodor, so hopefully you guys don't mind that. But I did choose Garbodor to be the very last Pokemon on my team. Reason being is that I had forgot one of the key components that I was going to build my team around, which was Toxspikes, and the only other 2 Pokemon in the tier that got Toxspikes were Scolipede and Garbodor. Well, the only other 2 that I wanted to put on my team. And in the end, I decided to go with Garbodor just because Scolipede is weak to rocks and I already have Mandibuzz, and it's weak to fire and I already have Roselia. Not to mention that Garbodor gets this move right here, Clear Smog. Eliminates the target's stat changes, which means it's basically like Haze except in an offensive form. Which means if Samurott thought that it could easily set up a Swords Dance on Garbodor, then you would be able to just go straight for the Clear Smog and eventually beat Samurott one-on-one because of the Rocky Helmet, and if it did knock you out, it then would get knocked out by itself, because SD Samurott, if it is the offensive variant and not the current bulky variant, can definitely be a danger to this team after a Swords Dance. So Garbodor was put on the team to be able to deal with that and also be able to deal with Girder, because bulk up Girder is definitely a pain in the ass to deal with the stall team, especially because now some Girders run Payback and can easily destroy Musharna. Even Ice Punch does a lot to Musharna, so Garbodor can come in, clear Smog, get rid of the bulk ups, and eventually beat Girder one-on-one. And yeah, that was basically it. That's why I had Garbodor on the team for Toxspikes. And with Drain Punch, I was able to beat Probo Pass and Bastiodon, which my first 5 Pokemon don't like to deal with. But yeah, that's basically the team. This was the very first version of the team: Garbodor, Mandibuzz, Roselia, Probo Pass, Lickilicky, and Musharna. And I really liked this. It was doing very well for me for a good amount of battles, but eventually I found out that ground types were a major pain in the ass to deal with, like Piloswine and Golurk were just so problematic for my team to deal with. Musharna found itself not really ever needing Thunder Wave, so I decided to change it up to Calm Mind. And I decided to keep Baton Pass because early on in the game, Musharna never really goes for Calm Minds. So by having Calm Mind and Baton Pass, not only can I keep up momentum with Musharna early in the game, but if it comes down to it late game, I can bring in Musharna, Calm Mind up, and sweep, thanks to how weakened my opponent's Pokemon will be. And then next off, I decided that I like Lickilicky, but it's just that if my opponent got up spikes, it just became such a pain in the ass for Lickilicky to switch in and be forced to basically go for a Wish, because outside of Wish and Leftovers, it had no other form of recovery. So in the end, I decided to change it up to Audino, because with Audino, I have Regenerator, which gives me 30% of my HP back, or it might be 33%, one of the two. And in the end, it did the exact same thing that Lickilicky did, although it wasn't as bulky. I knew in the end Ludicolo would still be a problem if I did lose Roselia, but all I had to do was not switch in Audino on a Hydro Pump from Ludicolo, and eventually Audino would be able to stall out Ludicolo and beat it in one-on-one. And hold up, gotta change this to Double Edge, and I have Double Edge because that was suggested that was suggested by Smogon. Although you could use Return, I haven't tried out Return, and I really wish Audino got Body Slam, because I definitely would have put that over it just for those times when I don't get up Toxic Spikes. But in the end, Double Edge is more than effective. You can try out Return, it's up to you. So yeah, Audino has definitely been working out very, very well. I wish Lickilicky had Regenerator, but if Lickilicky had Regenerator, it would not be anywhere near an NU. I'm pretty sure it would go at least up to UU maybe, or RU for sure, but yeah, NU, no, that thing would just be way too damn good. So I threw in Specially Defensive Audino, and as I said, she has been pulling her weight, and definitely like her on the team. I'll make her female because I feel Audino should be a female, and I like shiny Audino. There we go. Next off, Probopass. As much as I love Probopass, it had to go. I really needed a phaser on this team, and I needed something that could also get up Stealth Rocks while still being able to take special hits from Charizard and Jinx, but on the fact that they don't have Focus Blast. So I decided to go with Bastiodon. Now yes, Bastiodon isn't as bulky as Probopass from the specially defensive side, still it does its job. So I went with the basically standard Bastiodon set if you go look on Smogon, but I decided to put Rock Blast over something like Toxic because I felt that I really didn't need Toxic on Bastiodon. Plus with Probopass, I never really found myself going for Toxic, so in the end I decided to go with Rock Blast, Stealth Rocks, Roar, and Magic Coat. Yes, Magic Coat. And this has just saved me so many times, and from the replay you will see just why Bastiodon with Magic Coat is so damn good. Not to mention that if you're going up against a very offensive team which has normally like Scolipede and either Caracosta or Golurk as their Stealth Rock setup Pokemon, 9 times out of 10 they will lead off with Scolipede, allowing you to lead off with Bastiodon, and then you can just start going for Magic Coats, because who's going to expect Magic Coat on a Bastiodon? Nobody. So then you can start bouncing back their spikes and trying to prevent them from getting up spikes, because with spikes, this team just really, it still works, it's just that spikes become a big pain to this team, especially dealing with the most hyper of offensive teams out there. And there are so many teams out there that are very offensively based, but as I said, teams in 5th gen cannot beat every team style out there. So this team definitely does struggle against spike stacking hyper offensive teams in the NU tier. But if you're going up against a more balanced team or bulky offense team, then this team definitely shines and can switch into anything your opponent wants to throw at it, and just, yeah, it's very good in my opinion. And next change I had to make to the team was Garbodor. As much as it pains me to do this, I had to change Garbodor because, as you can see from my team, and as I mentioned, Piloswine and Golurk, just ground types in general, just destroy this team. And I really contemplated this. Like, I thought about it for a couple of hours. Like while I was at work, I thought about it. While I was in class, not paying attention because I zone out, which I need to stop doing, I was thinking about it. I was like, I have to change Garbodor. It's the most expendable team member on my team, and I want to be able to keep Roselia because Roselia beats Ludicolo one-on-one. Unfortunately, though, that means I would have to put Toxic Spikes on Roselia because Toxic Spikes were just way too good for this team. Also, Stench, that was on there. That was supposed to be Aftermath. So I decided to change it up to Alomomola. And I decided to go with my buddy Case Victory's EV spread, which I don't remember right now. Actually, hold on, I'm going to go. Alright, so I found the spread and I decided to change up the moves, except this should not be here. This should be Toxic. Let me change that. Alright, yeah. This was what I went for. Rocky Helmet, Alomomola, with this EV spread, meaning that it can definitely take physical hits and also be able to take special hits. Although, it is nice to be able to take physical hits a little bit better in the end. I mean, I do have Musharna and Mandibuzz that can take just about any hit Alomomola doesn't want to. And with Rocky Helmet, I would be able to beat things like Zangoose, Ursaring, Girder, and Samurott a whole lot easier, especially if I got on my hazard. So Rocky Helmet on Alomomola is just a really nice item to have. Although there are certain situations where I wish I had leftovers, it's just so much better to be able to wear down those massive threats that can break and destroy walls. Not to mention that this also allowed me to beat Golurk easier one-on-one, and with Waterfall I could beat Piloswine, and with Toxic I can Toxic, and just, yeah, Alomomola in general is just a very, very good Pokemon. Also passing off massive wishes to my team. I think after a wish, everything on my team gets brought back up to full HP because it's 250 HP. So yeah, everything on my team will get brought back up to full HP if it's down to 50% or more, which just makes Alomomola even better. Unfortunately though, this also means that Girder, after a bulk up, is an even bigger threat to deal with. So knowing that I would have to find some way to wear down Girder, I decided to put Toxic Spikes on Roselia. I was really hesitant about this, and I really didn't want to do it because Sludge Bomb was just so handy, and so was Giga Drain, and just I had to change Sludge Bomb to Toxic Spikes because in the end, if I get up Toxic Spikes, I already beat Ludicolo, I already beat Superior, and I already beat Tangela and Sawsbuck, and I already have Giga Drain for grass type. So just, yeah, in the end, if you see your opponent has something like Superior or Ludicolo, one of your main priorities is going to want to be to get up Toxic Spikes unless they have a poison type, and then you want to get rid of that first, then get up Toxic Spikes to be able to wear down threats on your opponent's team. And yeah, that was the final version of the team. That's basically it. This is the final version of the team. It's been doing very well for me. I really do like it. I feel that I didn't explain certain things as well as I could, so if you guys want to, by all means, feel free to leave your comments down below or of questions that you might have, and I will gladly respond to them. So as some of you might have noticed, Caracosta after Shell Smash is a very, very big problem to this team, especially if it's on a very hyper offensive team, because normally this team shouldn't be too bad against hyper offensive teams, because if your opponent gets up like 2 large spikes and rocks, you're still in a good position to deal with their threats. Although if they have Caracosta and you allow it to set up a Shell Smash, then yeah, the team gets annihilated. That's basically it. Caracosta on a team with spikes, big threat. So find some way to prevent spikes, or find some way to not allow Caracosta to get up a Shell Smash. Another threat is Ursaring. Luckily though, Ursaring is uncommon in the NU tier, and you can kind of stall it out with Protect and Wish from Alomomola, although if they predict correctly and get up a Swords Answer too, that thing can just sweep. Because with Quick Feed, it outspeeds the whole team. After a Swords Dance, it OHKOs the whole team. So yeah, you really have to predict correctly around Ursaring. And then if it turns out to be Guts, which normally are Adamant Nature, Mandibuzz can beat it one-on-one, because after something gets knocked out, you bring in Mandibuzz, go for foul play, and you get rid of Ursaring. That's basically it. Zangoose is basically in the same boat, because after a Swords Dance, it's definitely a problem, but Most Zangoos I've run into recently don't have Swords Dance, so Musharna can definitely beat it one-on-one. It can take Facades and it can take Night Slashes and eventually Moonlight off the damage. And you can also switch it around with Bastiodon to be able to wear down Zangoos with Toxic Orb, because you can predict Night Slash, bring in Bastiodon as well as Quick Attack or Facade, then switch out to Musharna, predicting them to close combat. And also you can switch into a close combat from Zangoos to Alomomola and a Night Slash as well to be able to get the Rocky Helmet damage. That way you can get rid of the threat a whole lot easier. Another problem is Jinx, but only if Jinx carries Focus Blast, which most Jinx don't tend to carry Focus Blast. As I believe I mentioned earlier, most Jinx nowadays are Scarf, which run Dual Stab, Trick, and Lovely Kiss, or they're probably Substitute, Nasty Plot, Ice Beam, and Lovely Kiss. Which in that case Bastiodon basically beats Jinx one-on-one. But if they are Life Orb 3 attacks, then yeah, that's a major problem, and you absolutely want to get up Toxic Spikes right off the bat. If you see your opponent has a Jinx, just assume that it has Focus Blast, and one of your priorities will be to get up Toxic Spikes as soon as possible, so eventually you will be able to beat it one-on-one with Audino, which can just wish, take a hit, well, wish, protect, take a hit, wish, protect, take a hit, and eventually Toxic Stall Jinx. Another threat is Electros. Although Mandibuzz does outspeed it and Toxic it, if you really want to, you can put Toxic on Bastiodon, but some Electros nowadays do tend to carry Superpower. Although Bastiodon is really bulky, it's just, if you see that you don't need Bastiodon on your team, you can risk leaving it in on Electros to Toxic it. But mainly the way I deal with Electros is wear it down with Audino, then eventually finish it off with Musharna, which can take any hit from Electros. Although it won't appreciate it, it can still take a hit and eventually knock out Electros after a bit of residual damage. Or if you see that you don't need Mandibuzz, Mandibuzz is faster than Electros, so you can Toxic it with Mandibuzz, buttering it off and eventually being able to wear it down with Audino, which can easily live a Superpower, Wish, and just stall it out. Basically, as you can see, this team is a stall team. It stalls out a lot of threats. Samurott, if it is the old offensive Samurott that I believe ran Jolly Nature, it was either Jolly or Adamant, but it had max speed and max attack. If it's that variant of Samurott, then yeah, that's a major problem, because even though Mandibuzz can live a +2 Waterfall, it's not going to appreciate it, and normally Mandibuzz is a very important member on this team. Now yes, you do have Alomomola, but with it not being max defense and max HP, will easily get beat by Samurott after a +4 Mega Horn. Although you could try to stall out as much as you can, then eventually bring in like Audino to protect one final time, allowing it to either die off to Toxic, or leave in Audino for fodder after protecting it and allowing it to die off to the Life Orb damage. Although I believe some of them tend to carry Lumberry. I'm not sure, but you don't really have to worry about that Samurott set, just because just about every Samurott nowadays will be the bulky spread on Smogon, which Mandibuzz can easily outspeed and OHKO with the foul play after they go for Swords Dance. And if they don't go for Swords Dance, you foul play, take the Waterfall, knock them out next turn. So yeah, the only variant of Samurott that is a problem is the offensive SD set. And the final threat that comes to mind right now is Girder. Although yes, you do have Musharna, Girder can still do a good amount of damage with Payback and Ice Punch after one bulk up, and especially if they come in when you have a layer of Toxic Spikes up. So Musharna can beat Girder one-on-one, it's just that you better make sure you don't need Musharna on your team, because after Girder comes in, I believe Ice Punch does like 70% at +1 with bulk up. Don't quote me on that, I can't remember off the top of my head. But just, yeah, Girder is a major problem that you basically have to sacrifice Musharna in order to take it down. And I believe that's all that come to mind. Some nuisances to the team are Riolu, but that's annoying to any and every team. Liepard could be a bit of a problem, but I mean Bastiodon beats it one-on-one unless it's Nasty Plot, which I haven't faced, but I'm pretty sure Roselia and Audino can deal with it one-on-one. What else? Baton Pass and Bastiodon, actually. Seeing that I don't have a fighting move and I don't have a ground move, those can be very annoying. But eventually, because they don't have any form of recovery, Alomomola and Roselia can severely wear them down by forcing them to switch out and racking up hazards damage. But yeah, that's all that comes to mind. If you guys have a question about a certain Pokemon and how I deal with it, leave a comment down below. I will make sure to answer it. So as you can see, this team does require a good amount of prediction just to be able to deal with certain threats your opponent has, but that can be said about any team, to be honest. And yeah, I really like this team. It's definitely one of my most fun and new teams that I've made in a while, although now I won't be able to use it because I've made a team building video on it. I just wanted to show it off before I retired it, and just, yeah, as I said, you guys can definitely use this on Showdown. The export is in the description. Leave a comment down below on how the team did for you. Did you like it? Did you not like it? If you have questions about how I deal with certain Pokemon, or if you have suggestions that I could make to the team, by all means leave them in the comment section below, and I will try to bring you guys team building videos a bit more often now. And with that, guys, make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to see more content, and I am out of here. Later, everybody.